Hello? Got any boyos watching in? Anyone here? My audio okay? Need just another minute, but I'm almost ready to get this going. Alrighty, let's get these shenanigans going. 1 second. Hello, welcome to the virtual studio for Studio Syndicate. As it stands right now, still a bit of a work in progress, but this is a wonderful way for me to pretend that I have some credibility. So, hello there, welcome. The handful of you that are actually here. Give me 1 sec. I'm about to get started. Roll call. I'm curious. Who is it that's watching? Anyone from the Discord? Let's see. No cloud. The Cloud of the Stars won't be here today. That's unfortunate. You will be missed though. So if you're watching this later, hey, what's up? Hopefully you missed some exciting stuff. We'll see. So I just need to post this one other place and we'll get it going. Where's that frickery do? Okay. Enough of all that. Let's see. Computer Cola, what's up? You're in the Discord chat, not in the YouTube one. That's okay though. Alrighty. Let's bring it in close. Hello, welcome again to the unofficial, or actually no. Let me say it again. The official temporary virtual studio for Studio Syndicate, which is absolutely not just an asset I ripped from the Unreal Marketplace and threw together last minute. It's good to see you all here. So, today I'm going to be starting with hopefully maybe a long, entertaining journey. Hopefully not too long though, of developing a JRPG in Unreal Engine 4 with all of you guys. But we're developing it with my upcoming Super RPG Framework 2. And the basic idea is to give you all a good look at what a drastic improvement it has been over the first version. Because even looking back at it now, I realize there's a lot of limitations with the original version of it, and so I'd like to provide something that is both useful for me and more useful for everyone else. So hopefully from this you can make something fun, and you can get an idea of what the new version will be like. And again, obviously, it'll be an update to the current version. That'll go for anything from Unreal 4.26 and later, so it'll be completely free for anyone who already has the RPG framework. So yeah, that'll be the main goal. And I guess let's go ahead and get started. If I can stop some stuff. Oh dear. Sorry, Spotify's giving me trouble. Let's go. All right. Hello. Throw that over there. So, oh, it's hard to see what's going on. Nice background. Once again, most of the music I use in my background is from Falcom games, especially Trails games, because they have a wonderful policy on their music, and you can basically use it in anything that's not monetized as long as they're credited. So, it's for nice background stuff. Alright, let's go! So, Super RPG Framework 2. I showed it off a little bit before, but the way it'll work, right now I have it separated into its own plugin right here, which I'm actually going to color. But it'll come in its own folder when you get it in the actual accent. So, let's see. I have it. Put the content browser over here. Why not? I don't like it. I like giving y'all a big screen to see where the actual game is. So let's see. Steam Machine is right now what I'm calling it. So yeah, I got a normal Unreal project all ready to go. I got some animations in just to help us out. Oh crap! Something need to open up. Pop that over there. Still curious to know who's actually in the live chat. If you guys want to let me know, because it gets me a good idea of who I'll be with today. Alright, so, also do a bit of an overview of Super RPG Maker and kind of how it works now. Our Super RPG framework keeps screwing that up. Anyway, so there's going to be a few things whenever you start a new project in Super RPG framework that you're going to need. A few basic things. You're going to need a game mode, a game instance, and then a game settings. Specifically an RPG game settings. So let's create those. We'll call it RPG... RPG game mode. We'll call it, one second. It's a good name. Game mode. Stream RPG. Call it that. Why not? We'll go with Stream RPG for now. Anyone have ideas for what they'd like the game to be called? Little uncertain now about the type of JRPG I'm wanting to make, but probably something along the lines of like a Final Fantasy or a Dragon Quest, something very conventional, very traditional, just to show off the basics and stuff. So, all right, we'll scroll down. Let's get game instance RPG. So game instance stream RPG, and those are the ones that come in with the Unreal Engine by default, but there's one more that we'll need, and it's called RPG game... RPG settings, I believe. RPG settings. Yeah, right there. So we will call that game settings stream RPG. And these will be the three core things that you'll need to set up before you start making the actual game. So let's go and assign those correctly. game mode, stream RPG, game instance, stream RPG. Boop boop. Alright, so I guess we'll go ahead and get started setting things up. So, let's go ahead and make some characters, why don't we? Oh, I need to put these in a blueprint folder. Gotta wait for those redirectors. Alright, let's see. Alright, so let's go ahead and make some characters. So in here, you can start by using a normal character, but a lot of the code is dependent on using this RPG character, which essentially is just a normal character, but with a few extra functions to it. So let's go ahead and do that, and we'll call this Stream RPG Default Player. Pull them up. Here we go. Setting the basic functionality. I like to start with a clean project. You can obviously use like a third-person template if you want to, but for me, this is nicer to start. To start nice and cleanly. All right. I believe I already have input. Control, player control, interface player control, and this will give you a few functions. Oh, this actually reminds me I need to set up one thing first. But these are basically a way that simplify adding controls to a character. Before I do that though, I forgot to say, in order to access the game settings object, you have to go open up your RPG game mode, and right under classes, RPG settings class. It's going to set our stream RPG settings. It should be good to go there. Other stuff should run like default. Alright, so don't get rid of this. You'll want to keep this child event begin play, obviously. Let's see. So we got our character here. Let's go set up some inputs, which I think... Alright, RPG controller. Yeah, we should be okay. So for inputs, let's look at our inputs. Some of this might be rudimentary stuff, but it's important stuff. So yeah, there's just a lot of things I'm adding here that aren't necessarily RPG specific, but are for the sake of really, really simplifying your work process. And that's mostly done with the idea that you're going to be making single player games. So some of the stuff in here might need to be tweaked around if you're trying to do anything multiplayer wise. But for single player stuff, it should be made a lot simpler. Okay, that character movement. Actually, if you just do this. Movement input. Drop a movement input in there, and we already should be able to move this guy around. Let's make sure we can actually control him on spawn though, properly. What is this? Nope, we don't have anything set up. Why not? RPG. Right there. Use my game mode RPG. Well, let's see what the problems are. Huh. How peculiar. Alright. Let me check out the settings. See if there's anything I need to put in here. I'm trying to remember. Nope, it should be all good. Alright. Well, what's the problem? Let's get rid of this feller. Nothing wrong so far. Let's start out with this. default pawn. Here we go. Let's use some stream machine player. Can't be moving though. All right, let's pop into the controller, see what's up. RPG controller. Oh boy. Ah, right. I forgot. I have to go ahead and input in a lot of these actions. This is not the controller I want anyway, is it? Hang on. This is the wrong controller, I think that's why. Okay. Game mode. Yeah, play RPG. So I have a couple controllers here we can use. I think it's just this. RPG third person. Let's see if that works. Nope. Nope! My brother, what has happened? I don't know. Ah, I gotta add the movement inputs, but of course. All right. Move. Right? I think you said it was? Yeah. Let's see. There, he running. He running the wrong way from side to side though, but that's an easy fix. Now I just gotta add camera input. Should be easy enough. Easy as we'll go back into here and we'll add in look up and look right. Although we might end up going with something top down, but that'll be an easy remove as well. So here we go. Or actually, axis, pitch. That's it. Pitch and add controller pitch. Like this is a good track. Add controller. Should be yeah. And there, I think with just those 4 functions, we should have a full third-person character working. Let's see. Yeah, look at him go! That's the, you know, normally the third-person thing, you have all that other stuff set up to work. All that, in this case, all of that is just set up right here into the RPG controller, or not RPG, the third-person controller, which I made it simplify then. And all you have to do is drop in these interfaces and plug this stuff into them, and boom, you have a full third-person character working. So that's again that idea of not just trying to simplify the RPG elements, but a lot of the elements you'd want in a game, especially a single-player game anyway, just to make control and setup easier, and not have to redo the same code and stuff over and over again. So, all right, now that we got a boyo. Alright, well, what do we say? Should we go with party members? We should go with interaction stuff first. I think NPCs and interaction is a nice way to start. Actually, you know what? We'll start from the very beginning. We'll start with the title screen. How about that? Very, very start of how these things work. Man, I really wish I could give you a better view than just this tiny screen, but I want you to be able to see the content browser and everything. So, make it a little bigger. Let's stuff. Alright, let's go into maps. I'm gonna make a title screen at the very start of the game. I can also, I showed you before kind of how menus work, but I can show you kind of more of that now. Hey, we'll say title screen. Yeah, just title screen. Do you want anything in? Maybe a nice sky. Oh, better yet, better yet. We'll use the sky atmosphere thing. That could be very pretty. Add some volume, with the clouds in. We need a directional light. Oops, that's it. Maybe throw on the ground. Something that looked reminiscent of the original thing. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Alright. Oops. Come on, baby. There we go. That is a nice evening mood sound. Need a skylight too, though. In fact, let's pump the colors up on this, make it look nice and pretty. Ooh, that's ominous. I like that. That's a bit ominous as well. But I kind of like that. What do you say? Oop, oop. For a title screen, how that looking? Start up and this is what you see. Alright, well. Show how easy it is to set up menus in this. So, we got our title screen scene now, simple version of it. Let's just go ahead and create a new menu. And normally you do that through the widget blueprints button here. I have a new class, which we call menu, and we'll have some templates here, but we'll go ahead and click on that and create a new menu. Just call it menu title screen. Let's also make the title screen our startup game thing. Alright, let's go. We'll need to add a canvas panel first, otherwise we'll have trouble. But, alright, so I think first thing we need for a title screen, we want the game logo. So let's just type in logo. Element game logo, right there. So, this will have, is basically a quick way to just place the logo of your game in. And you decide the logo right here in the game settings RPG object that we created. So this has a lot of the different settings for your game. Normal stuff that you would have up in here if it was a plugin. But again, I'm designing this to be completely blueprint dependent, and so it's easy to access and modify however you want. So right up here we have a game logo, and so you just put the game logo here, and in the widgets it'll always show this Super RPG framework, but in your actual game it'll show your logo. So let's go ahead and set some of this stuff up. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Alright, now get the game logo in place. We need some buttons, some options. So we could drop a vertical box in and drop in some buttons and spend a lot of time doing that. Or you could just go look at this, find this selector options list, drag that out, and then just add some options, which won't appear yet because first we need to add an option class. We'll add default options and show this. Set that to scroll box. Hey, look! We already have some buttons in place. Let's go ahead and call them new game, load game, system, we'll need that eventually, and quit. Let's also give them the proper tags. So this is a very quick way to, if you're wanting to repeat a lot of buttons, objects over and over again, instead of clogging up, to reuse the code and not having to clog up a bunch of stuff on the hierarchy here, you use the selector options. To explain a little bit, selectors are just, it's a new type of widget asset that I have that are essentially just let you display a list of different types of objects. They can be buttons, they can be game items, abilities, combatants, units, all sorts of stuff. And they can either just be listed, or you can set them up to where they have buttons. You can click on them and it'll do stuff. And they're, again, to just save you a lot of time. And what's nice is they work off, you just create you'll have a class here, and that'll contain the visuals as well as the logic for them. So you only need to create one of those, and it'll immediately put it in for everything. So now that we got that, let's go ahead and let's position this correctly. I'm sorry. Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good spot. 120. I think that's nice. All right. We got here selector option on option chosen. Now we just got to make sure that we switch out and the options that we switch to match the options we set up. So we got new, load, system, and quick. Pretty simple. So we're going to add those options. New, load, system, and quit. Lost my mouse at the second. Obviously, we want to quit. Let's quit the game. Simple enough. New game. Well, we could just open up our test level, but I'm gonna handle things a little bit differently. Let's do get RPG mode, or RPG game mode. And this will affect. Okay, let's place out game mode. So this effectively works the exact same as the get game mode function. The only difference is obviously instead of getting So this assumes that we're using just the general game mode class. This assumes that you're using a RPG game mode class, which I would recommend for all your projects. All your projects in this, they should use the RPG game mode. They should derive from that. Think of that. It's generally a good idea to think of Super RPG Framework as sort of an engine built on top of RPG engine. So you should be using the game instances and character class and game mode class that you use. They should pretty much almost all, unless you have looked into it and realize you don't need to use them, they should all be derived from the RPG versions of those things. So anyway, let's pull out from here and let's say new game, start new game, not new game plus, just normal new game. The difference is you can also do new game plus, and this just allows you to input a save file, so you can get data from that save file. We're just going to say start new game, and nothing will happen until in here we specify what our first level is going to be. So new game level, that'd be the level, obviously we load a new game. We'll also set the title screen level, and I believe those are just test map and title screen. They are, so test map and title screen. Should be good to go. Oh, we're on the title screen now. We didn't want that. Yeah, that's actually another thing. So since so it said right here, your game mode should be derived from this. So treat this as like whatever you create as your universal game mode, kind of that was in the RPG engine. So I would actually have this is like your main game mode, and then as a child game mode, I would have the one that actually has the gameplay. So we'll say gameplay. If that makes sense. Where you're actually running around and doing stuff. So for that, I'll actually I'll dump these two things. Make sure they all use the game settings though, or the same game settings. And then for the child, now we'll go to third-person controller, and default pawn class is, I forget, default player, there we go. And we'll actually make that the default game mode, too. Ah! Which means I'll need to set it to the test map as well. So, yeah, there we go. Back to the title screen. All right. Let's just go into level and say that whenever this, whenever this level is opened, we'll go open menu. And once again, the one function thing, we'll just select our menu title screen that we created there. In order to access it, in order to control it, let's say input mode, set input mode, another new function, to interface mode. And we'll connect this. This is your control widget, and this basically says, all right, what widget right now are we controlling with our either keyboard or controller and stuff. So make sure this is all set up, and there we should be just good to go. Can click play. But we're already spawning the dude. We don't want that, so we need to change this to the normal game mode. And there we go. I still have control of the camera. I can fix that later. But for now, come on. If we quit, quit the game, and we get a new game. Look, already on our title screen. Boom. It's been less than half an hour, and we got a title screen and a thingamajig going on. All right, I can set up saving and loading a little bit later. I might also even do that off camera, so because that might be kind of boring. But how is everything? Everything okay? Anything you guys kind of want to see? Any suggestions you have? I would like to be this sort of. I'm making this with because I want it to be. It'd be a short JRPG, but I want it to be a good, actual good game. So I'd love to make it. The whole idea was to get feedback from people in my Discord server about stuff they'd like to see, stuff they'd think would be cool to see, and make a traditional JRPG kind of Dragon Quest, Final Fantasy style. So, any suggestions you guys have, I'd love to hear, and see about putting them. In the meantime, I will get to work on setting up some of the basics. So, I guess first thing is, so a lot of let me pull up some of the classic Final Fantasy stuff. I'm kind of leaning towards like a classic Final Fantasy style for what I'm doing. So there's a few different ways that like these classic JRPGs kind of handles movement and camera perspective. Ooh, this is gonna be really bad. One of them is like this, is the top-down mode. That's pretty easy to do. But then we also have the full 360 camera, which it's not like it's harder to do. It just means you have to account for more. You have to account for like more perspectives. The player can see more things. They can usually go in more places, and so you just have to keep that in mind. Maybe a better comparison would be like, let's look up Dragon Quest 11. This is actually a good example of what I'm talking about. So we have normal Dragon Quest 11, which is the full. Why are all these all so small? Crap. Yeah, full. That's not good either because that's combat. There. I'll split the two. Yeah, so I mean it's pretty obvious you can do the full 3D thing like in Dragon Quest 11's normal, or we have a top-down thing kind of like in the retro mode for Dragon Quest 11. I can set up either one. I'm kind of undecided as to which one I want to do. So if there are any preferences, that's another thing that'd be cool to hear. Second. GDC video started auto playing, unfortunately. Ah! I knew it! Okay, so for some reason my live chat has not been showing up in my live stream thing. I was like, why is there no one in the chat? But I see it's now actually showing up in the, let me show you. So live stream here. No chat. What the heck? I don't know. I was very confused, but I got it here. But no, so yeah, back up a little bit. Samuel, F4C3M4N, Precognist, and Arcanist. Hey guys, what's up? Welcome. So we got, was Snack here? Oh, I don't see any comment from him. Snackzilla, my boy, where are you at? Nowhere. Character switching, that's something. Okay, so let's go over these. Yeah, that is So the way character switching was handled previously is you'd go into the get away from my face there. Yeah, this is really awkward. I need to figure out what that was all about. Participants. No, wait, go back. Ah, frick. Oh, whatever. Anyway, character switching before was JS4, get out of here. No, I'm kidding. You're fine. So character switching was before, like I was trying to say, was done through the menu. You'd go into the party menu, change out characters there. That's probably what I'll stick to for this game, but it is certainly possible, and I may show it off, I may not, depends on what time I have. But that could be done through engine. Essentially, you would just spawn out you get a unit, which as I'll explain later. Units are essentially instance versions of party members. They're what I'm calling party members now. And you can spawn one out and spawn in a new one in its place. But yeah, definitely like being able to switch. When you say character switching, do you mean just like switching on the fly, or just being able to switch out the leader in general? I'd like to know that. Combat's similar to Final Fantasy 13. Ooh, are you talking about in terms of like aesthetic or in terms of design? Because the design is a little bit off of what I'm thinking. I'm wanting to stick to something obviously turn-based, command-based. And so if you're talking about Final Fantasy 13 in the sense that the what do you call it? Like the way they handled is it the paradigms? Something like that? The kind of the job system switching stuff. That's something I would certainly be interesting to try. Maybe with all the dynamic character moving around on the screen and stuff, that might be a little bit more than what I'm going for. Because another thing to keep in mind is I'm wanting to release this as the example project alongside the actual framework itself. So I'm not wanting to necessarily bog it down in a bunch of different assets and stuff. I'm trying to keep things relatively simple. Just so it's not, 5 gigabytes when you guys try and download it, and you have all these extra assets that you don't need. But yeah, if you want to elaborate more on this, or if you go in the Discord and kind of give some of your ideas, I'd love to hear it. But so I guess I'll just have to keep chat up in the video on the other screen. So I don't know, is anyone leaning towards like a top-down? I'd probably lean towards top-down myself, but if anyone is really feeling the third-person perspective, that's also doable. Anyway, in the meantime, I'm gonna... Well, I actually should probably explain some of this stuff. Let's go ahead and set up an NPC. I don't remember. I don't think I had... Did I have a default NPC? I don't think I did. I don't need a controller right now. No. Crap. Crap on all of it. You got one top down. Alright, characters. Let's say NPC. I do have an NPC. Let me check this out. I actually don't remember what I put in this guy. I think he's just a normal character with a... Okay, so Arcanist says he's mainly talking about an ATV battle system, maybe with an auto battle option. Yeah, that might be doable. I can actually... I'll go ahead and show you off a little bit of how the battle system works. It's very much a work in progress. I got a lot more stuff to do on it. But, let's go down to add-on systems. Where is it? Actually, the job system wouldn't necessarily be a bit much. It would depend. I'm already working on something. Where is it here? Job system right here, which is super early on. Essentially, it just attaches a data asset to... Oh, let me show you. Well, this would take a lot of code. Essentially, it just attaches a data asset to an existing unit, and so you can call it and say, hey, what of this data asset, which one of these data assets is attached to this unit, and then you can get extra data from it. So it's one of those things I already have it in there as an option, or I'm working on it as an option. It's just, it does require some extra coding to be able to get to work alongside all the other character stats and stuff. But ATB, oh yeah, battle system. That's what I wanted to show you. Turn-based battle system. All right, so. Well, I guess this requires another I'm trying to remember if these were in version 1 of the framework or not. But essentially, one of the core elements of the framework is the subsystem managers. I think I've also explained this before, but just to go over them again, they're essentially just actors that contain functionality, chunks of code that you wouldn't necessarily want to use all the time. It essentially modulates, I guess would be the word, different bits of code in different systems and stuff, so hence subsystems. And what that way these work is you'll just, at any time you can call out the game mode, generate a system and run it, and then shut it down whenever you're done with it. So one of these is the turn-based battle system, or subsystem, or turn-based combat system, subsystem. And this is actually in the macros for it, not the actual thing. Let's go to blueprints. And right here, subsystem, turn-based combat. Again, it's still very much a work in progress, but the way it works is that there's some basic functionality for turns, like what happens when you end a turn, when a target updates, blah blah blah. A lot of basic functions, but it's also meant to be very modular. So the way it works is you have the basic skeleton of the subsystem, but then you will also have additional classes that you will create in order to run functions, such as the turn manager class. So I just realized it's in a different project, but I actually do have an ATB turn manager I'm working on. But essentially, you would create a battle system, and then you could create a turn manager separately from it, which I won't do that just yet. But essentially, so in this you could screw it. Let's go ahead and just kind of show it off. In here, you would essentially just decide what kind of logic you would want for handling player turns. So it could be a normal, turn event on turn started. Say on whenever a turn ends, you could say, then you could get a list of all the players in combat right now, characters in combat, arrange them by speed, and then get the character's top speed and run it that way. Another way is if you wanted an ATB, essentially you would just use event tick here, and you would store a different float in every single one of the characters. That'd be their ATB, and so this would tick up every second and increase it. And then once one of theirs is filled, then you say, all right, now start their turn. So, and then the point is you can store that separately from the actual game mode. So maybe if you wanted to create different types of game modes, or maybe you wanted a game mode to use different turn managers and stuff, blah 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 blah. Yeah, so that's a brief look into that. I'll get to that later. Anyway, NPCs, that's what we gotta work on right now. Get the basic stuff right now. So yeah, this is the NPC class. I'm debating as to whether or not to keep it in and just use the base character, because I think it's essentially just the RPG character with an interactable component. Oh, it does have the billboard thing though. I forgot about this. This essentially just says, hey, we can interact with it. For right now, I'll rely on this. But okay, so stream RPG NPC. Yeah, that's fine. We'll give him a name too. Fellows, that's fine with me for test. Where's the player start is here? Drop him into the world. By testing it out. Okay, so I guess it's a good time to explain how the interactable and interactable sensor work. And I believe this interactable was at least in your original version. And it's just a component you drop onto an actor that is says, hey, I could be interacted with by the player. So when you hit the interact button, different things can happen. And in this character's case, let's go ahead and call it out. We will say string, just because I'm not quite ready with the new dialogue system yet. So we'll say, what's up, mate? Get it. So when he's interacted with, that'll happen. Now, so one other thing is, since I'm trying to make this sort of a lot more customizable and kind of build more of it from scratch now, instead of automatically having functionality to interact, I have in here a new component called the interactable sensor that can now be placed on not just on your main character, but pretty much any character can use an interactable sensor, and all it does is just that. It's essentially just a volume that traces for anything that's interactable, and there it is. So let's just go, for debug purposes, I'll have debug, we'll set this to 50 by 50, so it'll be 50 by 50 size. We'll have debug going. Now, one other thing is, in order to get this to work, it has to actually know that when it's tracing, it has to know that the things it wants to interact with have an interactable trace. So the other extra step is you'll need to go down here to collision presets and make sure. Oh right, I need to actually add that. 1 second, because again, since I'm starting from a fresh project, it's not going to have the trace. But new trace channel. Interact. Actually, better check to make sure I get the name correct. Yeah. What did I call it in here? No. Don't worry about all this. Trace type query for. Oh yeah, because I had mouse hit as well. I'm gonna go ahead and add the mouse hit just in case. And interact. There. That should work. There we go. So it'll trace for interact. And yeah, this you don't need to worry. You don't need to worry about any of this. This is just the code that makes the interactable sensor work. Okay, back to this interactable sensor. Let's make sure the character is set to 1 second. Here we go. Interact. Make sure it blocks or overlaps with the interactable trace, so we can actually. I think it needs to be overlap, so that way we can actually find it when we're interacting. And just to show, we got our interactable sensor right there. Where's the kiddo? Here he is. And then boom. He's not in. What the crap? All right, let's try that again. What could be the problem? Yeah, we're going with interact. Maybe we do need to block it. I don't know. Let's just block and see what happens. Where are you at? Yeah, there we go. Got him. And it's I don't have an interact button set up yet, I think. So let's just go ahead and make that E. What's a quick word or quick that's not what I want. Come on, give me the E input. If I can find another input, this could be a lot easier. Okay, so gamepad. There we go. So we'll just grab the sensor and say attempt for interact. Well, so one of the things I'm thinking of adding is a case where it doesn't just add the first interaction, but if any of you have played Genshin Impact, and other games do this as well, I think Breath of the Wild does this. It'll anything that's like in an interactable range, it'll add to a list, and you can kind of cycle through the list and decide which one to interact with. And so that's why if you go into here, I don't have one interactable. I have it has registered interactables, which is anything that it's successfully tracing and overlapping. So this is just an easy way to attempt the first one, I believe. Yeah, attempts. Is it attempt first interact? Yeah. So I'm working on setting it up so you can interact with more at a time, but for now, this allows you to interact with the first one, which should give us that print string that we want. Yeah, there it is. Beautiful. Alright, now we got a basic character with interaction set up. Let's do one more thing. I think we're going to go the top-down route. Why the heck not? So, let's deactivate the looking stuff. I think I gotta do this. If I deactivate the pitch, it should work. Let's move this down, though. How's it looking? Brilliant. It's probably a bit too far out. It's definitely too far out. Look at him go. So, let's get that camera closer in. I think 16,000 is too much. We'll try 800. That's good, though I don't like that angle. So, snap him down, maybe one angle. Yeah, too much, too low. I want to give these characters some sort of a view of what's going on. I think that's a pretty good angle. We can pull the camera out more if we need to, but now we have an easy... What's up, mate? Alright, nice. Now, since I'm still working on dialogue, I'll go into the camp and pause menu next. Oh, I got a little bit of lag going on, it looks like. Am I lagging at all? Alright. Well, let's close out that. Get on that camp menu. So, let's see. I'll go make a new folder in here for menus. To keep them separate from other user widgets. Menu. Or camp menu. Or, how about menu and then subtitle camp. Add that canvas panel in. Alright, go ahead and add we can add a couple things. Okay, first of all, selector option list, like we did before. I think it's a good size. 400. Default options. Now we'll set the class. So what things we're going to want. Oh, we also need to set this to scroll type. So this is also an easy way to set it. And again, still work in progress, but set it to the type of lister you want it to be. Whether you want it to be a horizontal box, vertical box, a scroll box, which is usually my go-to, or a uniform grid panel, which is that's the one that's probably not working at all right now, but it's still working. So anyway, what do we got? We need equipment. Items. In fact, let's go pull up wait a minute. Why not? Something for reference. Oh, I forgot just how many stuff there is in 8. Let's go to a different one. Let's try 9. That's better. That's more like it. That's only a handful. So yeah, we got items, ability, equipment, status, order. That would be party. Card. Oh yeah, that's the minigame, isn't it? Config. Alright, so for now, we'll just go ahead and say equipment, items. I think equipment is one of the ones I would access the most, so I'll keep that at the top. Yeah, obviously you can rearrange the order of these easily if you want. Abilities. Items. Equip. Status. Party. And then just a system menu should be fine. I'll show off a couple more of the game elements that I have set up. Horizontal box, drop it here. So, other few elements that I should also specify. So there's a few new widget classes, widget types that I've created. I've showed off a couple of them. Menu, that's this. The idea is a menu, you'll only ever have one open at a time, and it's just, well, it's an interface that you interact with when you don't want to be interacting with the game. And so it is just, you're not moving around in the actual game, like gameplay itself. You're in a menu. So that's the idea behind that. Then we have selectors, which, as I showed you, are for listing different objects and assets. Next up, you have entities, and entities are what actually go into a selector type. So that's what you'll create if you wanted to get in and create a new selector type or something. You'd create an entity, then you'd create a selector and put the entities in the selector. But you also have just elements, and elements are just different useful, which I need to create more, are just useful widgets that, I mean, they kind of function like a normal widget would to just save you time on creating stuff that you may want to use in your game. For example, we have time code, which would, game log, I showed you one. Description box, which is just a box with text that you can update that you would use for like item descriptions and stuff. You have unit metric stats, which is just a quick way of displaying a unit or a party member's stats, the health and mana and stuff. Same thing for combatants. And in this case, we want the time code one. We'll just drop that in. And this will be our game time. And we'll just say current game time. So that'll display it will display the current game time, just like that. Or the current play time. But here's one thing we need to set up first, is that the game time is played off of a subsystem. So we need this other thing. So in the game mode, in the custom game mode, one of the other features you have right here is auto subsystems. So these are subsystems that will automatically start up. Instead of generating manually, they'll automatically generate and run whenever the game mode starts. So we'll say game timer. We want to run the game timer automatically. So now, this should be automatically counting up and whenever we start the game. Give me 1 second. Okay, boom, boom. So, one of the things that was very much requested with the previous version of the framework was controller support, and I totally get that. It's very hard to set up proper controller support in Unreal Engine for menus and interfaces, but I've kind of found a way to go about it. So essentially the way it works is that everything is controlled by this RPG controller, which is like the master controller, which actually I'll need to set up 2 inputs and I'll explain how this works. But essentially, that controller should be like the other, like the game mode and the game instance and the character. All your controllers you use should derive from that, because let me do one thing. Confirm and cancel, which we will have that as backspace. And space, because that allows you to easily control menus and stuff. So because the way it works, as I will pop this open and I can show you, is that I have all this stuff, don't I? Up. I have to add a page and up. Alright, give me a second. Let's fix this crap. UP. Oh yeah, I have to add a page left and right as well. And that'll be for scrolling. Page right. Page left. And again, don't worry, when you get it, these will all already be in, so you don't have to add these in manually. I just had to set up as plugins so I can use it among separate projects. So, mouse wheel up. And mouse Damn. Gotcha. Wrong thing. There we go. So the way it works is in this master RPG controller where everything is contained. All you gotta do is when you hit these command keys, which do not consume the input, then it'll go to native. It'll basically attempt to fire an input into the control widget, which I showed you earlier. Whenever you load up a menu or something, not here. Well, I can show you that. Open menu. You'll get this, and then in input mode, you get right here. You'll have the control widget, and the control widget is whatever is affected by this. So it'll check to see, hey, do we have a control widget valid? If we do, it checks to see, yeah, are we in interface mode, and do we have a valid control widget? And if so, then we'll run this navigation event on it. And so that's how we will control the menus. So for purposes of this, we won't set up controller support. We'll just do mouse support, keyboard support, but it still works the same way. So by default, menus have this interface for input, and we'll just say input navigate. This is for navigating around the menu. Actually, we don't need that one for now. All we need is the confirm and cancel. I mean, this works the same way. I can show you. But this is, yeah, it gets those inputs up, down, left, right, and then page left and page right. But we only need a confirm. In fact, we only need a cancel, because for right now, we just want a way of getting out of this menu. So all we got to do is input cancel, which means when we hit the input button for cancel, which was we set up as backspace, just close out the menu. And there we go. And that should immediately shut all this down. So let's get that camp menu going. In our RPG game mode, right here, this baby, we have a few menu classes. I'm undecided which of these will stay in, but we'll say main HUD class. We don't have anything for that. We don't really need that. Pause menu. Here we go. And we're gonna say menu camp. Do I have a background already? I don't. Yeah, let's go ahead and create a pause menu background. And this is a widget that will be on display as long as the subsystem because the pause menu runs off a subsystem as well. And as long as that subsystem is going, this will be played as well. So that way you can have a background that's always present, and you don't need to respawn it with every time you open up a new menu. Let's just go ahead and create a dummy one of those. Why not? Good. No. Pause menu background. The canvas panel, we'll just blur it out. Why the heck not? It's blurry enough for me. Right here. Pause menu background. The last thing we need to do is actually run the subsystem for the camp menu whenever we want to open it. So, what's a good button for that? First of all, where's my character? I don't think I have him. Blueprint characters, default player. Let's make a tab. How about that? So when we hit tab, that'll open the menu. This is how you work subsystems. Let's do subsystem, get RPG subsystem right here. And there'll only ever be one instance of a subsystem running at a time, so you don't need to worry about generating more than one. So if you just get the class, it'll just check to see if that class exists. So let's see. Camp menu. Oops, no. Subsystem camp menu. Let's make sure we actually cast out to it too. Camp menu. We have to get this. We actually have to start it. We can't get the subsystem until we actually start it up. I almost forgot. So let's say get RPG mode and subsystem. Generate gameplay subsystem. And we'll say camp menu right there. Super easy stuff. And then let's just, it should just automatically start up. So let's see. When I hit the tab button, it should open everything up. There we go. I hit tab down there. our menu opened. You'll notice I can't move around my character because, of course, I shouldn't be able to when I'm in the menu. Down here we got our game timer working, which I'll remember all we did is just drop that in and click the button that said, hey, make this the current game time. And it's already working. We got our buttons here, none of them are working. If I hit backspace, but of course, if I hit backspace to close down, it's not going to close. It only closed the menu, but it did not close out the subsystem because that's what we want to do. We don't want to, since we generated this subsystem, when we close out the pause menu, we want to make sure to shut it down. Wow, I am. My stream says I'm lagging bad. Let's see. Alrighty. So let's go back in the menu. One thing I'm hoping as you're watching as I work, you can take note of is just how little actual coding I'm having to do when I make the game. You'll notice here, to get this menu running, to get these buttons, and there'll be a little more when I actually get the buttons and stuff going. But I only have 2 things in here right now to get all these buttons and this timecode running. And to open and shut down, I have this one event. I have that in the character. I have this stuff for movement, this stuff for interacting, this for I don't even need that, opening the menu. And so that's another big focus on this. Is I'm trying to essentially optimize the coding process so that you don't end up with these giant bits of spaghetti code going all over the place, because it's essentially you just need to pull out 1 or 2 functions. And that's another reason I've started using I'm going to go shill a little bit right now. I've talked about this a lot. This has been one of the biggest reasons that the framework has been delayed, is because I am using this Actions Extension plugin, which I've been shilling out a little bit because it's fantastic. It essentially lets you create asynchronous events to basically just optimize coding. And the best thing is it's totally free. So I'd actually recommend, if you want to download it, try it out in your own projects, or do that. But that's how I can create events like I was showing off in the Discord earlier, like say use item. This is an action that I've created, and it just right here I got to do this, and you'll just input the item, which I haven't created any yet, but essentially you'll say which item here, and in that item you'll have an animation and an effect and a visual as well. And also let me know if you're actually having any lag on my stream, because it's lagging a little bit for me in OBS. But essentially, it'll just run through, play that animation, play all the effects, and then you can call it function at this time. Same thing with like lerp over time or play sequence. So in this case, instead of needing to, all right, let's spawn a level sequence, and then let's get it out and call a function for when it stops and starts, and let's make sure we set up specific settings. Instead of needing to do all that stuff, boom, right here you got this. Just drop the sequence in and pull out the events for when it's played, when it's paused, and when it's finished. And then you can also resume and pause it and stuff whenever you want. So, yeah. Ooh, I'm seeing the lag now. Give me 1 second. Aha! Alright, I'm stuck. I'm trapped. Give me 1 second. Don't worry. We'll be back in a minute, folks. I don't know what just happened. All right, we're back to the normal mode. Dang. So yeah, most of these streams, I mean, I'll be going through stuff as I work on it, but most of it will just be me showing my process of working on the game itself. Righto. Where were we? That's the society. All right. Little code, but you get a lot done with it. That's the goal. Okay. I don't need any of this right now. We just need to make sure we can shut down the camp menu. In fact, to show this off, I actually can't show off equipment until I show off. Yeah, I kind of am so done, Mechanist, but that's okay. Sometimes when you're done, that just means you get to start again. Or something. I don't know. I'm not a philosopher. Anyway. Get RPG subsystem. The camp. And let's just shut that fricker down. So now, tab menu to open it. Hey, look, backspace. Open. Oh man, I think OBS does not like Unity. This bit of Unity running. That's what's up. Oh, bear with me, guys. But anyway, yeah, just tab to open it, backspace to shut it down, and boom. And how much coding did that take? Well, we just set up this menu, told to start up, shut down. And that's it, and we got all of that running. So, yeah, I think I want to at least show off one more thing before I kind of go a little more quiet. Why don't we make an equipment menu? Yeah, all right. So, something that was already in the previous version and is making a wonderful return here are the data assets, being kind of the main feature for different things in the game, like well, like all this abilities and dialogue. Well, dialogue actually is going to go, but items and units. So, there's a few. You can use the default ones in here, or you can actually. Why don't we go ahead and I'll show you this core data. So by default, you have all of these, and you can use them if you want. This will be the normal, or say we want a new item, a potion, and there we got all the values. We give it an icon, a name, a description, a price. You can describe what happens when we use it. We want to make it consumable, so it is used up and removed from our inventory when we use it. You can just decide who it affects: friendlies, hostiles, neutral. The actual effects, which are you can create more of these, but these are just the effects it'll have on a combatant, like healing. In this case, it'd be heal. We can decide whether the animation we want to use is a montage, which is here, or an action tag, which will be found on the character themselves. Particle effects. Basically, so yeah, you can do that. Potions, you have stuff for units, which is again party members. We'll say bruh will be our party member. And here you have a name, a reference tag, portraits, which I don't have any portraits right now, but I can make some of those later. The character, the playable actor, which I believe, is this by default unit? It might be, so I'll need to change that before next time, but that's okay. Their sex, their gender, their stat progression, which I might explain stat progression a little later. But the point is, you have those, you can use them by default, but another thing you can do is maybe if you're like, well, I want, on top of those, I want to give my party members an alignment meter between like good and evil and stuff. Okay, well, that's really simple. Just type, go into parent classes, type out unit, and right here we have the RPG unit class. We'll just create a new subclass of that, and we'll call it, just make it the unit class for your game. So in this case, we'll have it Stream Machine, Stream RPG. Unit, here we go. Inside a new, I probably won't stick with this, but it's just an example. It just works like a normal class. We'll say alignment. I misspelled that, I probably did, but whatever. So yeah, you can set the alignment here. Yeah, and then you can just derive that. I'm doing for items 2, RPG item. Ah, yes. And by the way, this will work separately for let's see, equipment. Equipment is a subtype of item, as is a weapon, I believe. So this will need to be handled separately for those. But anyway, the point is, I'll go ahead and say string RPG item. Those, like before, those will be handled through data assets. So I mainly just want to show up how easy it would be in this system to make. Because normally an equipment menu, think about that. You'd have to how much? Okay, yeah, back up. If you're making a game like this, and just to get an equipment menu working, think of all the stuff you need. In fact, let's pull it up. Final Fantasy equipment menu. Just think like if any of you can think about that in Unreal, all the different functions you'd have to go through to set that up. Even something as simple as this. It's like, all right, well, we need to be able to create each one of these stats. We need them to display the right number. We need them to compare to another number. That's whatever we're highlighted here. We need a list of all our equipment slots. We need to be able to see all the items we have. We need to be able to see the character portraits. We need to be able to switch between other characters. So we need to do all that stuff. So how much? Think of all the coding you need to that. You need to say, all right, well, let's set up a portrait, and all this stuff all needs to be changed when we switch to a different character. Then we need to set up code to switch to that character. Then we also need to switch out the equipment slots and stuff. It can get to be a lot, and the spaghetti code goes all over the place. So, Super RPG framework. Let's go ahead and set up an equipment menu and see how long it takes. First thing, we'll need a party member to equip something on, and then a piece of equipment. So, we'll go ahead and say party. Which, by the way, guys, how about you throw me out some names as to our party member? What do we call him for this? I'll literally just pick the first thing we get it, as long as it's not R-rated, because I don't want weirdos coming down on me. So we'll call him party member. We'll call him Blue for now. R-rated, because I don't want weirdos coming down on me. Just checking something. So we'll call him party member. Harold, got it. Harold it is. Alright, so we got our boy Harold. No one else Spotify. Alright, so we got our now party member Harold. And or not units. Equipment. Which we'll couch this in an items folder as well. Harold, got it. Harold it is. Alright, let's go ahead and say equipment. RPG equipment. We'll make a item equipment. I'll just say equipment. A sword. We'll call it Harold's trusty sword. And I also remembered I need to set up stats before this as well. Well, that's okay. Stats are important part of RPGs games, so we'll show that as well. So now we've created Harold's trusty sword, and now that we got an item and a party member, let's go ahead and create some stats. Just for now, I'll stick to the attack, defense, and speed. Why not? So stats, as before, they're broken down into two types. We have I forgot about spectrum, but anyway, we have metric stats, static stats, and I also have this thing called stat spectrum. I may not include this. I'm a little unsure. It's essentially a stat that has two ends and a point that moves back and forth between them. But for right now, metric and static. Metric is stuff like health and mana, and static is stuff that stays still, like attack power, defense power. So let's create HP for a metric stat, just so we have one in there. Metric and static stats. static. What do we call? Well, we'll just call it physical attack for now, and physical defense. Now, with setting up stats, the way it worked in the old version is you'd have a number, right? So you'd assign a character a number for whatever their stat value was. Like his attack is 10. I want this guy's starting attack to be 10, and then I want his starting defense to be 15 or whatever. And I will say that I really do not like the way I did level up before, because it was hard coded and it was essentially just like it kept on adding a number, a fixed number based on some preset formula. As to how that determined like what his stat on the next level would end up being. So to fix that and to give you guys more control and to make stat progression more predictable, what I have right here is I have the way stats work are, instead of giving a character or whatever a number, let's pull up the unit so I can show you what I'm talking about. You'll set and assign them, get their stat, in this case HP, and then we'll have physical attack and physical defense, and you'll assign them a rate. And this is just the rate at which they progress. So higher rate A means they will get higher in the stat faster. E means they'll get lower, or they'll get higher in that stat slower. So they'll be lower in that stat. And then in the actual stat itself, like here we have defense, you can assign its progression values, and this is just the curve at which it from whatever the level, what that value is going to be at a specific level, essentially. So I have a couple of these already set up just for ease of use, but you can create your own as well. So let's go ahead and set those up. Stat. This is a metric. No, this is physical defense, so we want to have this static. By the way, while I'm working on adding these in, what do you guys say is a fun name for... Because I could just call this physical attack and physical defense, but that's not as fun as something like strength or defense. What do you think are some fun names for, like, strength and defense or health for those stats? So I will toss that in right there when I'm done. Let's go ahead and copy this and make it easy. Another suggestion, something that might make these streams a little more fun in the future. Again, not 100% sure about this, but it's something I'd consider. Those of you, especially in the Discord, what do you think about the idea of basically, as I'm working on these, I can do them in a voice call, so you guys could chat with me as well. Health's vigor works for me. Come on, you guys gonna let Arcanist just decide everything? We'll go with that. Health vigor, that's fine. No, that's for health, not physical attack. But yeah, I'm thinking of maybe, at least now while the Discord is small, when the Discord gets bigger, if it gets bigger, I might have to change that. But for now, since it's usually just a handful of people, you can let people into voice call as well, and we can chat while I'm working on stuff. It'd be an easy way to get suggestions and stuff out. So, health, vigor. What does you guys say about physical attack, physical defense? I'll set some colors for them as well. I actually don't necessarily need colors for these, but we definitely want to give health a color. Make it green. Make it a nice green blue. Nothing. Well, you know what? We'll just go with macho-ness. Why not? Macho-ness and what's like an insulting word? Like a stubbornness. Stubbornness isn't insulting enough. Come on, what's a good one? Stubborn synonyms. Synonym. Strength could be muscle. Could be. It's not a bad idea. Yeah, why not? Muscle. Obstinance. Unregenerate. What? Unregenerate. Refractory. Come on. Maybe obstinate sounds nice. relentless, rigid, dogged, inflexible, willful, tough, tenacious. These sound like good things, though. That's not what we want. Perverse? Ornery. Orneriness. How does that sound? You have a stat called orneriness. I'm down, let's do it. How's it spelled? Orneriness. And that'll, it doesn't, I don't think I'll be using colors for these, but, alright, let's set this up now. Metric. Boom, metric stats are all set up. So now I have the stat curve set up. I believe these are... Yeah, it's just the way these work is it starts out at level 1, goes to level... You can set it to level whatever. Mine is 99. And that means at level 1 it'll start at 100. And level 99 it'll be 6,000. At status E, which is relatively low. It's the lowest, actually. Shadness. Hey. Shadness could be your, what I call your levels. How about that? Alright, let's do it. So yeah, you can change the name of what a character level will be called. Let's just go into stream settings and money name, character, level name, Shadness. Kaboom, kaboom. Alright, now equipment menus. We're ready to show those off. Or to make that. Alright, back to menu. Make a folder for it. Equipment. Equip. Menu. Equip. Could be a good opportunity to show off how some of the selectors work as well. Canvas panel. Alright. We got 2 of them. So let's think of some things we'll need. Well, we'll need party members. We'll need stats. We'll need items and stuff. So let's start with that. We'll get a selector for, remember, units are party members. So we'll have a selector for units, and this will allow us to be the spot where we can, so we'll come up here, click and select our party members. Let's give it a background as well. Make sure you have a background on it. Next up, we'll need equipment slots. So right here we have a selector for equipment slots. Background. And we'll make it a little smaller. And then we'll need something for the items themselves. Selector item. We'll go with that. Put those 3 in. We'll get a description box for whatever the covered items description is. In fact, this would be better in a vertical box, but would it? Maybe not. This might end up being a little bit of a mess, but oh well. Alright, what else did we need? We needed the status menu. I don't think I have that quite set up. No, that's something else. Element, metric unit stats. No. Oh yeah, that'll just be a unit entity, I think. Selector unit, element unit, widget. It's none of those. I think I know what's up with that, but we'll work on that in a second. Alright, well let's get up the basics first. Don't need any of that crap. Let's first make sure we can actually open up this menu properly. Oops, open. Right, input. First, I made it a user widget. I meant to make it a menu. On open. What am I gonna do? No, I don't need to do that. I just need to grab out this. We want to make sure we can actually close out of the menu. So implement event. Alright, and we'll say this will close the menu. But we also need to make sure that when we close this menu, we go back to the camp. So Yeah, so we have the equipment. Grab the tag and bunch it up here. Switch on equipment. Let's create a new function for opening submenus. Open submenu. Let's grab a menu class. Actually, we'll have open menu. Interface. No, input mode. And we also should have some event dispatchers too, so we can say on menu closed. No. Menu closed. Assign on menu closed. So now whenever we close out whatever submenu we open, in this case the equipment, we just go. We can say open. We're going to open ourselves, so we're going to reopen this menu. Another thing I'll show off a little bit later is animations and how I've set up animations to make some of this stuff look really nice. What was it doing? Right, we got to close out this menu though. When we open, we got to close the camp menu when we open a sub menu. So now, when we hit the equip button, we'll say open sub menu. Not menu template, menu equip. Should be everything I need just to get that working. Let's see. There we go. Ah! But of course, we gotta remember to reset input onto this menu though, because when you go back here, you want to be able to still control it. So, equipment. Ta-da! Ain't that just a peach? Now let's check on society. Why don't we? Alright, let's try and show off what we can. Oh, we gotta also make sure that we actually have our items and stuff in. So I normally wouldn't recommend doing this, but let's go right into the game instance, because this will be where all our save data is. So we got units, we'll give ourselves Herald would be our default unit, or one of our units, and give ourselves a sword. Alright, hey, so now when we start, we should automatically have Herald and the sword. We won't be able to see it just yet, but let's see, in the equipment menu, let's say event const. No, wait, no. On open. Don't override event, so event on menu opened. Let's go ahead and we want to get all of the units currently on our party. So get player unit list. We'll say for each one of those. Let's go ahead and grab our unit selector, this little baby right here. We'll need to set up a type though, won't we? Do I have a default type? I do not. Let's go ahead and make one of those. Widget. Units. Unit entity small. Make this simple for now. Just make it a button, and we'll stick a character's. No, that button's good. No. Alright, 100 by 100. So yeah, actually, while I'm doing this, it can be explaining entities. So entities, like I said, they're essentially a way of you creating widgets for different asset types, like items and player or party members, units, and stuff. But they have a lot of code already set up for them, so you just have to plug some stuff in and they're ready to go. So all you need to do, drop in this case, we'll just drop in a button and a bit of text. And this text will contain the party member's name. Let's make it small. It's 150, 150. It's probably a bit too big, but make that a variable. And so the only thing you need to do to get this setting up and working, because this is a unit entity, right here is the parent class, or entity unit. So all you need to have to do to get this working properly is look under the functions, and we'll override some of these entity functions. So we're going to say get entity button, We'll override that there. Plug our button that we created into that, and then get entity, no, get units bio name widget, and that'll be this right here, this text widget. So, you know, we got those 2 bits there, and now it should be, we'll have this unit type. So now that's the type we'll use here, and if we want, we can go ahead and preview it. Preview your widgets. You can preview the amount of the widgets right here, and that's a little bit big, so let's shrink it down. We'll go with 100 by 100 after all. We'll make this smaller. 12. There you go. And don't worry, you can preview this stuff. It should be cleared when we start up anyway. But so now, whenever the menu's open, let's grab our unit selector. Once again, this baby. Let's clear it. Let's make sure there's no one currently on it, because we don't want to keep stacking party members on it after we close it and come back. Oh, I should probably make 2 party members just to show but you know what? Not for now. Alrighty. Now, let's grab this again. Add unit. So we go add unit to list. And this will just add a unit onto the list. Let's plug in its unit data and its index. And now, Harold should show up. Equipment. There he is. And you have a little bit of sound effects already too. And nothing will happen when they click on it, obviously. But the point is, there he is. And let's go ahead and add another party member. Why not? Harold. Gerald. This guy will be Gerald. And we'll let him hang out in our party from the start too. Wait. Should be going and going. It's okay. What were we doing as a society? Right, they're already in, so now who should also be in there? Equipment, Harold and Gerald. Alright, well, let's finish up that equipment menu. So, now we have buttons set up on that selector. We'll say when we select a unit from that tab, we want, what do we want to do? Well, we want to update the equipment slots. First thing we want to do is, we actually do want to select a unit. Just right at the start, we want to make it go to the default unit. So we'll say select entry. An entry is just, yeah, what entry on this list, obviously. And make it 0, so it'll be the first unit, which in this case will be Harold. And when a unit is selected, let's grab the equipment slots, and we'll say, clear out that list, and we'll say, we'll get the unit data, and we'll say, we want to get his equipment, what equipment slots he has. So get equipment slots. What's the nice thing is, you can have the normal, in the settings, you can set up equipment slots, default equipment slots, like let's say weapon, let's go ahead and do that. We'll need to do that. Weapon and armor. We'll need to quit. I will need to quit an equipment type too. Yeah, so hopefully another thing you're picking up on is that it's a little more, there is a little bit more effort in setting stuff up initially than there is with the original framework, but that's because that's for the purposes of allowing you to do a lot more stuff, allowing it to be a lot more flexible. That's my biggest issue with version 1 is that not really very flexible. Not a lot. You have to rework a lot of stuff and a lot of code in order to get it the way you wanted. So, yeah. Oops, hang on. Equip types. And hopefully you're also seeing now why it's taking so long to get this done. Since I'm essentially developing like a mini engine. No. Equipment type. Weapon and armor. And we'll be sure to make Harold's sword a weapon type. Now, oh, we also want to give it some stat modifiers. It's doesn't affect health. We want it to give a little bit of a boost to attack. 10, why not? Okay. So now, we'll grab the equipment slots and we'll add one new slot to this list for each of them. And so, yep. Create slots from units. That's right. I don't need to do all this. I should clear it out first. Well, at least I showed you kind of how that works. There, now we should automatically generate. Oh, we'll need the buttons though for this, won't we? Widgets. Equipment. Slots. Okay, same principle as the Unity slot, or unit slots. Horizontal. Up. For right now, we'll just add a button and a name for whatever the slot is. Which I actually need to name those slots. What am I? Text. Righty. Entity button. Oops. And entity, or hang on. Slot name. Boom. I gotta make sure those slots are right though. So, slot name for weapons will naturally be weapon. Armor. And now, hopefully, should be all you need now is that. Let's see. Equipment. No. Okay, let's check and see. Let's preview this too. Because they're a horizontal box. Once again, it's like a scroll box. Is it in the wrong order? No. So what's with the previewing? Yeah, selector, not a selector, entity slot. Equipment slots. This baby. Why ain't it showing up? Does preview not work on this one? Let's check. Oh yeah, I think I need to set up a preview entry. Yeah, a little bit into how the sausage is made. I got a function for adding preview. Oh, wait a sec. I just gotta hang. Yeah, this one works a little differently, doesn't it? Where are my slots at, boys? Settings, weapon, equipment. Right, default equip slots. So yeah, another thing you need to set up. You can set up what equips. These are all the equip slots a character can have. You can customize on a specific unit which ones you do want them to have if you'd like. So on Gerald, I could give him maybe 2 weapons. I could say unique equipment slots. I can say weapon 1 and weapon 2. And then right in here, I would add those as, I would create weapon 1 and weapon 2. And then I would set these as the default. So by default, we would always have a weapon and an armor slot unless the character says otherwise, which I don't want to say otherwise. Now, there they are, and nice slots. And how much? I mean, I had to jump around a little bit, but as far as in equipments themselves, that's all we did. Just that code. Hey, what's up, No Name? So I'm just showing off, making equipment. Equipment menu right now. So yeah, we get those slots in here. Item menus next. So we want to click on. Oh yes, yes. Another thing about menus, by the way, which is what we're in, is that menus can have different states, so where they're displaying different stuff. So by default, well, here's a good example. We're not wanting to stay on one state of code and control the entire time on the equipment menu. So our first state would be just this normal menu here, but when we click on an item, an equipment item, we'd want to change to a new state, and that state would be for when we're selecting an item. And then when we click that, when we just click on what item we want to equip, then we go back to our previous state. Maybe this would be better if I show it to you. So let's create a widget selector, because that's what this state uses. And we'll say, horizontal. Dropping 2 horizontal boxes, why don't we? We'll drop the equipment slots into the first one and fill it out. And the items in the second one. And fill it out. So now, obviously, if you would have used switches before, you know how these work. Very useful tools. Let's go into here, functions, get menu state widget switcher. This is like so when we change a menu state, we'll switch back and forth between these widgets. So an easy way to handle this is to say, what is it? Create slots from widget. So now that we have that, we get our equip slots. And so when we select a slot, let's change our menu state. So set menu state, which by default we're at 0. Let's set it to 1, and this will be 1. And we have the item list there. So, trying to remember. I'll just show that off right now. Oh, also, when we're doing that, we also want to make it so when we hit the back button, we don't automatically close out of the menu, because maybe we don't want to close out. Maybe we just want to close out the item thing and go back to equipment. So, let's say get menu state, current menu state, switch. So now we can switch out what happens on what state. So when we're on the normal state, yeah, let's close out the menu. But when we're not, let's set our state back to 0. So, go to equipment. There. We have that equipment, and then our items will display here to the back, like that. I'm actually going to change one thing about the equipment slots, though. Because I don't want the slot name on the slot itself. That's why we want the item name to be. And 10. I'm gonna pull this over for a second. Was that an overlay? Wait, it's an overlay. I meant the vertical box. What the crud? Can I copy the whole slot panel? Nah, okay. There we go. Yeah, it should all still work the same. Let's just make this a little bigger though. Yeah, there. And that looks a little more like what you'd expect a menu or equipment menu to look like. Now let's get some items actually showing up. Why don't we? So, back to the equipment menu. And we click on a slot. We want to switch to this state. And we want to also create the list of items that we can equip. So, first let's clear that out. This is probably the most amount of code we'll have to do for this menu. I think it may be this. I'm still in big picture mode. Let's click away. Let me think. Alright, so selector items. Well, we want to get our inventory, don't we? So let's say get inventory. Now there's essentially, the way the inventory works in here is there's two different types. There's a raw and a display. And a raw inventory just lists in an array every single item you own. Every single item is separated into a different array object. And the reason for this is to allow you to stack item, to decide whether you want an item to stack or not. So whether you want an item to fill up, say, a single equipment slot, it's like potions, you will just show the slot and you'll have, alright, I have 1 to 99 potions. Or if you want a type of item to take up a new slot every time you get a new one. And that's the raw inventory, is it lists every single item. And then the display inventory, let's get that, raw to display inventory, that'll take a raw inventory and it'll essentially organize it. And so it'll take all items that are stackable and put them into one array type, and all the items that are not stackable, it'll put them into their own array type. Hopefully that makes sense, especially if you played RPGs, but so that basically the idea is everything is a single item and this organizes it. So you always want to make sure that when you're getting a inventory for displaying it in a menu or something, you always want to get a raw inventory. Usually that's the one you'll be using, and then you want to run it through a display inventory thing. So right here, for each loop, now we got our entire inventory, but we naturally we don't want to put everything in. We only want to add items to this list that fall under the correct category. So let's our slot, we'll say get slot info. This will be the information for that type of slot. Let's break it out. We want to make sure that whatever equipment that we're going to get from this item, from the items being placed in here, is of the correct equipment type. Otherwise, we don't want to add it. So let's break this out. We'll say get the item. Hang on, let me think. Just split this, why not? So we got our base item here. We want to make sure cast to equipment. Make sure this isn't actually an equipment type. Because if it's not, well, we don't want to add it. We're only dealing with equipment. And then we'll say type. Is that type equal to the equipment type? And if it is, then we'll add it to the list. Ooh, but I don't actually want to break this, I just realized. Recombine. Because remember, this is the actual inventory, not this. So when we're adding an item, we're getting the data from the raw inventory, not the display. So let's just plug that in. Item. Am I wrong? Oh, I am. That's right. I am incorrect. No, I'm incorrect about these, but you can grab it from the display item. That's correct. Because remember, we're still going to be. This is still going to be this is a visual thing. This item. So we want to know, alright, is it stackable or not? Anyway, so let's select that back out. And array index, so we want to get the raw index. We don't want to pull from the array index, because that array index is going to come from the display inventory. We want to get it from the raw index. Because that's what the actual index in the raw inventory is. But essentially that should be all we should be all we need in order to add equipments to that. So let's go ahead and try it out. Yeah, I forgot I could do this. Equipment, weapons, nope. But of course, because we don't have a entity widget set up for equipment or items yet. I want to spread this out just to show you how simple it all is. But for that, create a new item widget class. Item say entity item widget. Again, should be pretty simple, just like the others. Give ourselves a button. How are you all following this okay? Kind of understanding. I imagine it'll make more sense when I get it out and you guys can, I got documentation you guys can work with for yourself, but does it kind of seem like, I don't know, does it seem a lot more complicated just from where you guys are standing, or does it seem simpler? What do you guys think? I want something for the name and then something for the amount. Alright, override entity button, naturally. Button there. Override, or sorry, get item name widget. Oops, item name widget. And get item amount. There we go. Equipment. So now we're using that. Let's go. Let's see what happens. Equipment, weapons. Aha! Trusty sword, but it's not sorted properly. Because we want to use the scroll list, so this fills up and it's a scroll through it. Equipment. There we go. Now trusty sword. Nothing happens when I click on it, so let's say. Alright, I want to make sure when we actually select an item, with their item selected, we can equip it onto. Oh yeah, we also got to make sure we say what the active unit is. Current unit index. So now, equip item. Unit equips item. This will equip it onto just a unit in your inventory. Although I should probably change that to be a unit data. Hang on. Equip item. Alright, well, it doesn't matter. Oh, we also want to save the current slot. Variable. Current slot. Slot. That wasn't swearing, YouTube. Calm down. I was just pronouncing the accent. Alright. Drop in our slot. Drop in our unit. And we want to drop in our item index. Now, when we hit the button, it'll equip the item, which removes it from our inventory and puts it onto the character. And let's see, we want to go back to state, or menu state. Set menu state back to 0. So we're back to equipment. Oh, we also want to refresh this stuff. In fact, let's make that a function, why don't we? For, that's actually should be pretty easy. We just select the current unit index right there. And now that should get removed from our inventory when we equip it. Weapon. It's gone! Because we equipped it, right? Boom. But we want to be able to see it, don't we? Alright. So my brain farted for a little bit there. We can close out all this. We don't need all of this crap, but we will need some of it, though. We just need the equipment slot. Not that one. That's why I pulled this out, because I want to be able to set that with the item information right here. Text. So here we'll... Actually, no, we just need the text, right? For now, we will. We'll add an icon later. Item text. Check-a-choo. Thanks for those of you who have stuck around now. I know I'm down to 4 now, watchers, but that is Fine, I really appreciate you guys stick around. I know this is a long game, or a long dev thing, so. Alright, item name text. We'll just drop that in right there. No, not that one though. That one. Yeah. Sliding it up. Somebody said, don't worry about that. So now menu equip. Alright. Equipment. Harold's trusty sword is equipped. And we have an equipment menu set up. A few other things I want to do though. I want to make sure when we hover over an item, it updates the description box. So at the start, let's say, where's the description box? Item. On item hovered. And on item unhovered. So, get item info? Get inventory item. Get. I think I have to break a lot of this out for right now. You won't have to do this in the final version. It should be simpler. Let's see. Oh no! You don't have to know. Get item values. All right. This is. Hang on. Get item. Get inventory item. Right there. I don't know if this is temporary or not, but yeah, this is a quick way to just get the name and description from it. On item hovered. Update description. Should work. Okay. Oh, one check. Yeah, we need to give. We need to describe Harold's sword, right? Another reason that would be useful for me to do a Discord or have some sort of voice call, is so I can get feedback from you live instead of having to ask a question then wait a few minutes for it. But I will see. This sword is. This sword is so dank. Harold named it after himself. Because wouldn't he? Isn't Harold just that type of guy? Actually, I want to close out. Hold on one second. Let's keep this away and open in another window. Equipment. Right there. Unhovered is not. Doesn't appear to be working correctly, but. Because it's when you get it click correct. Let me see. Unhovered. Alright, I think let's just check the inventory equipment again. Let's compress this down a little bit, clean this up, and just check to see how much room we're actually taking up. Probably the biggest one right here is when we select the slot. Select equipment slot. Equip item. And yeah, again, when you equip an item, it'll automatically unequip it, so you don't need to worry about that. Select unit. On menu opened. Boom. And that right there is the entire equipment menu. Well, not the entire. There's one more thing I need to add, which will be the stats, but that'll take a little bit more time, so maybe I'll do that later. But yeah. Why don't we make another sword for, hang on. For Gerald. Come on, baby. Did my... I think my keyboard just yeeted. Did it? No? Gerald's less than dank sword. Make sure that's in the instance. By default. Now, our boys should both get their own sword. I think I'll switch to Gerald's less than dank sword. Gerald's trusty sword is there. Let's go to Gerald. Let's go to Gerald's sword. Well, look at that. Everything's working like a charm. I also want to set up a button for removing items, but that can come a wee bit later. Alright, well, I've been at this for 2 hours. Wow. I realize to make all this, it's going to take a lot of time, but I think I'll want to do a lot of the boring stuff, like setting up initial stats and whatnot. Will be off camera, because that's not as exciting as making events, story events, or working on combat, or implementing ideas. So, but for now, look at this. In what we say, 2 hours, 2 hours of development. What have we got? We got. Let's add up one more thing though, just so we can go through a full game cycle, into the game and get out. So let's go to the where is it? Menus, camp. Quit to title. Alright, so I got one more thing as I'm adding this that I would like suggestions on, and I'll actually take... I'll probably put a poll either on Twitter or on the Discord, or short announcement. I am working on. I'm another thing. I'm not. Actually, that's not true. I'm pretty sure about it at this point. I'm working on setting up a locals.com, which if any of you are familiar with locals, I did do a video about it, and it's essentially a sort of a Patreon type service, subscription service. Sort of, but it has a few other features. One, I believe it has better like payback rates than Patreon. I think there's been less issues with people like getting removed and stuff like that. I also think it's less known. But the point is, I'm not planning on setting up any sort of payment service right now. I'm mainly setting it up for its like community service, because it'll be an easy way for me to essentially just post information about what I'm working on. In addition to the Discord server, obviously. Nothing's changing with the Discord server. But it'll be locals.com for Studio Syndicate, and it'll just be, if I got updates on stuff or want to make announcement posts, it'll all go there. And that'll be one of the main methods of communication. So I'm still not sure yet, because I just closed down my Patreon recently, and I'm unsure about whether I want to put up any... I'm not going to do any paid stuff, like any exclusive stuff, at least right now, but we'll see about any paid stuff. But yeah, that, and then I'll put up a poll on Twitter. Basically, just deciding what to name the game, this game we're working on. I'm thinking of something very, very classic JRPG, especially if it's kind of corny. You know, you get Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, something along those lines. So anyway, let's go and add our last little thing here to do a full game loop. Open level. Well, yeah, one nice thing about this version, you can open levels by an object reference now. So let's say test map, title screen. There we go. So now, get out of here. Let's go. No, let's go to the title screen. Let's go all the way from the top, boys. Right. Oops. Hopefully it doesn't lag on us too much. It's starting to though. But all right, here we go. New game. Here we go. We can run around. Tap. So yeah, performance. That's not the game. That is my recording software. Don't worry. But you know, let's do this. Let's do this the better way. There we go. That's a little better. New game. Ba-doop-doo. You'd be running. We can kind of interact. Yeah, we have a basic interaction set up. We got a menu, equipment menu. You can equip items on different characters. And quit the title. Quit game. Boom! Look at that. And that's in what? Started 2 hours ago, but I think it started developing. Started developing about 2 hours ago. And we got some very basic stuff set up. So that is. I guess that'll probably do it for today. As far as what I'm working on right here. 1 second. All right, so let's go. I'll go ahead and save that and close out. So yeah, my plan for the future right then is I'll be working. That'll kind of be the main thing I'll be streaming from here on out. As I'm working on this game, I'll also be developing the framework with it. This will be the example project I release with it. So I'm thinking of making I'm thinking of something Dragon Quest Final Fantasy style, like I've been repeating. Basically scaled down to like, I don't know, a couple hours, but eventually, yeah, I'm thinking like overworld map, towns you'll visit. You'll need to go to 4 crystals or something, and then you'll get a final dungeon. And essentially just a small version of a JRPG that says, hey, this is an example of what you can do with this. And almost all of that is created just for this project, so you can do because a ton of other things. And that'll be released with the... I think I probably will end up releasing it as a standalone thing, as well as releasing it as the example project for the actual, for the actual framework itself. So, you guys have anything you would like to see from the game, from the project? Any sort of aesthetic, a fantasy aesthetics, or a title, battle, combat stuff? I will. I'm trying to think of whether I should make a new server on the Discord for it, but yeah, I'd like to get input from a lot of other people on this, you know, because that also, aside from being a lot more fun to work with other people, that also helps me kind of iron out issues and find the type of things people would like to see. So anyway, yeah, I'll probably, man, I don't want to make, again, I'm not one to necessarily make promises because stuff comes up and I have to change plans. But definitely next week, I would like to do another stream, and hopefully at that point I'll get some of the basics set up, so we can start getting into more of the fun stuff, like making an overworld and making towns and things like that. So yeah, if thanks for those of you who have stuck around this long. Discord is in the description, as is my my other links to like Twitter and stuff. If this looks interesting to you, please follow along, support my work. I'd really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll think that's all for me this time. It's been great talking to you. I will see you guys later. So long. Hey. Hi. That is not what I wanted. Hang on. Ah! There we go. See you guys later.